Hi, Alain from France, Alain, has complained that he can't see how much water I've got on my hake, any one of four, whichever one works at the time. This is the latest one, but I cut just a little bit too much of the handle, another inch longer would have been okay. And he can't see me mixing my palette. Well, the problem is that I'm using a camcorder. I don't have a professional photographer or filmmaker watching me do this. I'm a DIY, do-it-yourself, filmmaker and amateur demonstrator. So I put my big water pot there, and I hope you can see that, but I'm not going to have this set up for too long because it's not convenient for my filming and my big art table, which is here, big office table. My palette is on the left. This board is on an easel that I bought in the summer. It's a Chatsworth easel. Very nice for limited space. And I'm using it because I prefer now to lay my watercolours below 45 degrees rather than the vertical, which I was getting with my studio easel or my big box easel, travelling studio. I could lay it flattish, but the watercolour was too far away from my knees and I couldn't reach it. The metal easel or sketching easel is very good, but I lose my working space. So unless I had a great big warehouse floor with areas set up to do all this, to have oil painting in one corner, well I don't do oil, but the knife paintings, acrylics in another corner, appropriate easels in all these places, and watercolours under north facing light, blah blah blah, and so it goes on. So apologies to all those people that wish I showed more of it. Alan Owen seems to manage to do it, but that's his setup, and his paints are to the right, and you can see him mix most of his colours, but I'm not in a position to do that because I use this tray and I hold it in my hand rather than a bit of a dip this is what I do. I'm happy to, it's my palette and that's how I use it. So apologies to anybody that can't glean enough information from my videos. There are 934 to choose from now, and there must be at least one of, or several of them, that show everything I do, that answers all your questions. Like the plastic card, it's just a bit of credit card or sort of thing that you open an electronic door with in a hotel. Cut in appropriate lengths. I just collect them. Look, they're different sizes. That's probably off the bottom of the first one I showed you. Here's my motoring card, the RAC card. Same size as my credit cards. House of Fraser, whatever that was, a store in Britain. All do different things. So here we are. 2-inch Ron Ranson hake, Fabriano watercolour paper. When I initially wash it with water, I just dip my brush in and wet it. I don't have it slopping down the paper, so like a great tidal wave. It will all move down anyway with gravity, but just an initial wetting, so that when you put your first coat of your first wash on, which in my case I dip the brush in the pot, get some sienna, and while that paper's wet and the brush is not sopping wet, I can just put in my initial wash of raw sienna, which will give a bit of warmth, and if I'm going to put water in, which I am in this one I think, it will reflect in the water, the sky. So the day today is a bit bright, it's very mild, it's about 14 degrees, which is pretty good for this time of year. We'll pay for it, no doubt. So I'm going to mix up a alizarin crimson and a bit of grey. Bit more dark. Alizarin. look, just a streaky sky, just to reflect it in the water, keep it wet. Now that is it. That's the sky done. Now what you'll see, I'll clean the brush, is the paper expanding. It's partly expanding because I've got a failure on the other side. And believe you me, I get my fair share of failures. But I think to be a little bit firm with one or two people, that I could explain it till the cows come home, and you will still be asking questions rather than practicing it for yourself and finding out, like I did and Stephen Cronin did, and many others, that you have to do some work. I can't do it all for you. I can demonstrate it, but I can't paint it for you. I've done thousands of these over many, many years, and I'm reasonably competent at it, but I'm not a great painter by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just better than those people that don't do it, or those people that quit when they can't do it. But if you stay with it, if you practice and practice and practice, you will get there. You'll produce far better work than I do. But many of you, I'm sure, would give up before you can do it and think you can't, it's impossible, and I haven't explained it well enough. Nothing to do with that. It's that you haven't put the time in. I've spent 40 years trying to become some sort of an artist, so I'm telling you off now. Many of you will, of course, take the advice and put the time in and practice, because you're the ones that will get there in the end. Right, I'll dry that off with a hairdryer. I can extricate my wire. How are we doing? So what we've got, three colours. Raw sienna as the underpainting, alizarin crimson and Payne's grey. And I'm going to use that as a mix for my hills. Sort of Lake District. Make some a bit darker. And I'll use burnt sienna, I think, in there. Okay. Just bring a bit of reflection down here. And I'll put beach over there. Okay, just put a bit of my Payne's grey is having a heck of a job to dry on or dry off a little bit on the palette, so that it's it doesn't pick up too much on the brush. Just put a bit of distance in. Essentially a cold painting here. Oops, got a bit over there. Right, and the burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is a very useful colour on my palette anyway. I don't know if Ron Ransom ever used it, I can't remember, I don't think so. Might have used it in for some effects in warmer climes, but you can accomplish that with burnt umber and light red, really. Now let's just get that. We'll just loosen up that beach a little bit there. Bit of sienna. Bit of a reflection in there. Well, the paper's dry now. well, almost dry. So we'll put in some seems a shame to ruin it, doesn't it? But ruin it we will. Just make sure your paper is dead flat. No need to stretch it before. Look, a big thumbprint there now, because I was telling somebody off. Please don't take anything I say personally. I try to help you with your paintings, but I think some of you just don't help yourselves. I love doing this. This, to me, is, well, 40 years ago I couldn't do this. I was making all sorts of mess. It was just, this is a foreground really, just a lot of grass. Oh, Harry's meowing, I can hear him on the prowl. He's been outside for an hour. I was bottling my Christmas ale with the kitchen door open to the garden, and he was having a whale of a time. Elsa wasn't out there, but he wasn't worried. He found things to play with, but we have to be very careful he doesn't climb over the fence and into the road, which is quite busy. A lot of water here. I'll thicken it up on the left as we come into that. So, burnt sienna, raw sienna, Payne's grey, lovely look. Just mix a bit of hard contrast in there now. Right, we'll put a couple of bushy things in there. Look how thick that is, look. It's soft. I'm exploiting the dryness of the paper. Just get some of this. Pull down some grasses there. Touch of water on the hake, just to soften some of that. So get a bit more paint on the paper. And I'll right, that's my little bit of detail on the beach. I think we can use a bit of a grayer mix and do some of this in here. So I'm covering up a lot of that. I'm just balancing the painting if I. I'm just making this up as I go along. And okay, I'll put something on there that needs to be a bit warmer in this. Let's cover that. This hake is very strange. I think it was a second when I bought it. It's very sort of jagged at the tip instead of being nice and clean. But it's just a little bit of water on there. Okay. Put a bit of yellow or raw sienna. Look, I'm just cleaning my brush off on this cloth here, taking out the, well not cleaning, I'm just taking out the excess moisture. Look, just want to put a bit of that in there. So sort of sandy colour. Okay, I'm going to leave that as it is. I quite like that. How's that looking? I don't want to put anything more on these distant hills, really. This is all foreground painting. Now a bit of rigger work. They will sort out some boats or something. Look, push up and pull down. Right, just some texture. Right, got a bit more in here. You might have noticed my headphones sticking out all over the place. I listen to the radio when I'm doing this. Talk radio, I'm not one for music. Not when I paint, because I tried that in the past. And I will paint in time with the music and it'll go wrong and I'll get angry. Look, that's nothing really. Just some, I'll strengthen up the trunks. Okay. Now, remember that, as often as not, less is more. So I can't get over there. So the idea of, well, so I've got my laptop here as well, an old laptop. Harry mucked up yesterday for a while. He sat on it. Right, so now I'm where I need to be. Look, I need to get over to that side. So I need movement space. Right, I reckon we could put a couple of little boat things in there. That was a little brush. Yeah, let's put the boat in here. Oops, need some water. So it's just a little boat on there. I reckon perhaps a couple of little yachts on the horizon there. Find my bit of grass that's squeezed out here. Right. Take a little while to soften rather than squeeze out another bit. I prefer to do this than lift out really. Right, okay, let's just put a little. Just some little houses and just a bit on that horizon there. Oh, look what I've done. I've messed my boat up. I put my little finger in the boat. Oh dear, why didn't you shout? Right. Right, let's, if I can carefully do this, just have a little bit of an anchor rope. Don't think that'll show that. No, that's not going to show. Just get a bit of shadow under there. Okay, that's it. I'm not going to do any more to that. Let's, I might, yeah, I will. Let's put a couple of birds in. Okay. Right, so we've got a very placid scene, a little bit of reflection of the boat there, bit of reflection on the horizon, some land, both sides, leading in. I'll bring you in and you can have a look at that. I'll put it in the mountain. Oh, I'll put it in the mountain now, so take your headphones off. Alright, let's. This is all I've got time to do today because we're off out. We're off out, that's old age pensioners, you know. Life of Riley. Well, it's quite a pretty little picture. Nothing too difficult about that, other than controlling the amount of water that's on your head. This was done with hard paint, well, stiff paint, almost tube quality, straight up, consistency, straight out of the tube almost. Flicked up, flicked down, and done when the paper was pretty dry. Okay, so we've got a bit of some trees on here, distant trees, distant landscape. No detail in this, it's too far away. Thanks for watching. Let's, oh sorry, times I do that. Right, let's just bring the easel round. Right, there we are. Have a little look at that for a few seconds. So this is all hard painting, dry brush, on top of the initial wash, or the secondary wash. Don't want to confuse you with that. So, bit of an error there. I've made that one similar to that one, but easily done, psychological. Just try to remember not to do that. Just put one, if you had one in, have one going the other way, but a lesser size. Make everything different, don't make anything symmetrical, don't repeat yourself. That I repeated two birds there. But these are things that come from experience, and I'm still learning as well, so there you go. See you soon. Bye bye.